He used to text every morning, call at night, check in just to say he missed you. But now, silence, no message, no explanation, just distance. And your heart is screaming, did I do something wrong? But here's the truth. When a man ignores you, panicking is the worst thing you can do. As a psychology expert who has studied emotional behavior for years, I can tell you, silence isn't always rejection. Sometimes it's a test. So before you text him again, cry yourself to sleep, or start blaming yourself, pause. Because in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to do when he pulls away and how your response can change everything. Section 1. Understand the psychological truth behind his silence. Let's be honest, being ignored by someone you care about cuts deeper than most people realize. It feels like silent rejection, like you've suddenly become invisible to someone who once made you feel special. But here's what most women don't realize. When a man goes quiet, it's not always because he's lost interest. In fact, many times his silence says more about him than it does about you. You see, male psychology is often misunderstood. Men are biologically wired to retreat when overwhelmed, especially by emotions they don't fully understand or feel safe expressing. Silence for many men is a form of self-protection, not because he doesn't care, but because vulnerability is unfamiliar territory. When a man starts catching deeper feelings, it can trigger a sort of emotional freeze. He may pull back not because he wants to leave, but because he's afraid of falling too fast, losing control, or appearing weak. I've seen this pattern countless times in my work. A man feels connected, the bond grows stronger, and then suddenly he disappears. And the woman, left in confusion, blames herself. But it's not her fault. In reality, this pullback is often a stress response, not a sign of disinterest. It's how some men process emotions, internally in silence, before they decide how to move forward. So the next time you feel that sting of being ignored, instead of asking, "What did I do wrong?" ask yourself, what might he be feeling that he doesn't know how to express? This shift in perspective doesn't take away the pain, but it does give you power. The power of understanding, the power of patience, and most importantly, the power to choose your response, not react from fear. Section 2. The one mistake most women make when ignored. When a man starts ignoring you, the most natural instinct is to reach out. You want to fix it. You want answers. So you send another message. You try to be sweet, then maybe sarcastic, then emotional. But here's what I've seen time and time again in my clients, and maybe, just maybe, in your own story too. The more you chase his attention, the more distant he becomes. Why? Because in psychology, there's something called reinforcement behavior. When you reward his silence with your energy, texts, calls, emotional outbursts, you're unknowingly training him. You're teaching him that he can pull away and still keep your attention without giving anything in return. It's not about playing games. It's about protecting your emotional value. Think of it like this. When someone stops showing up for you and you keep showing up for them even harder, you're saying, "You don't have to meet me halfway. I'll carry it all." And that's not love. That's emotional self-abandonment. Many women fall into this trap because of anxious attachment. You feel unsafe when there's distance, so you try to close the gap fast. But if he's an avoidant type, someone who fears closeness, your intensity makes him retreat even more. It becomes a painful cycle. He pulls back. You chase. He retreats further. You panic. But here's the truth. Your worth is not determined by how quickly you can fix someone else's silence. The number one mistake women make when a man ignores them is thinking they have to do something to earn back his attention. But real power comes from doing the exact opposite. And that's exactly what we'll talk about next. Section 3. The power move. What to do instead. So if chasing him is the wrong move, What should you do instead? Let me introduce you to the power move, the response that protects your self-worth and rebalances the connection. Step 1. Pause and reflect. Before reacting, sit with your feelings. Ask yourself, is this a sudden change or part of a pattern? Am I reacting from fear or responding with clarity? Most people rush to fix silence because they're uncomfortable sitting in uncertainty. But maturity in love is knowing that space doesn't always mean loss. It sometimes means growth. Step 2. Pull back gracefully, not with anger, not with passive-aggressive silence, but with quiet strength. What does that look like? You don't double text. You don't demand answers. You live your life. It's called soft silence, a silence that says, I'm here, but I won't beg for crumbs. Step 3. Shift the focus inward. When he stops showing up, you show up for yourself. Go out with friends. Read that book. Go for a walk without your phone. Reconnect with your feminine energy. Why? Because when you redirect your energy inward, you become magnetic. A man can sense when your world no longer revolves around him, and it changes everything. The psychological effect? It triggers his awareness. He begins to wonder, why hasn't she reached out? Is she over me? Did I just lose someone rare? And that moment is powerful because you didn't chase, you didn't panic. You reclaimed your value silently, confidently, and without a single word of desperation. And whether he comes back or not, you rise. Section 4. Reclaim your emotional power. Now let's talk about what truly separates women who crumble when a man pulls away and women who rise. It's not beauty, it's not charm, it's emotional power. And emotional power isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about knowing that his silence doesn't define your value. Here's what I've learned in years of studying human behavior. When you stop trying to control how someone feels about you, you regain control over how you feel about yourself. That shift is magnetic. Why? Because emotionally strong women activate something called the mirror effect. Psychologically, we reflect what we receive. But when you consciously break that cycle, when you respond with dignity instead of desperation, he starts to feel the emotional gap he created. And suddenly the silence he gave you, it becomes his to sit with. I remember working with a client named Layla. Her boyfriend pulled away for 2 weeks. No calls, no texts. Instead of chasing, she paused. She focused on her own growth. By week 2, he called, nervous, curious, asking, "Are you okay? Did I lose you?" That's the power of self-respect. Emotional power doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It doesn't crumble. It waits in grace, holds its boundaries, and knows, if I'm not being chosen, I will choose myself. And that's not arrogance, that's healing. Section 5. Final words of empowerment. Let me leave you with something I tell every woman who sits across from me, heartbroken and confused by a man's silence. You can't control whether he texts, calls, or stays, but you can control how you show up for yourself in that silence. Don't waste your precious energy begging for clarity from someone who chooses confusion. Don't lose sleep wondering why someone disappeared when you are the kind of woman worth showing up for. Because real love doesn't leave you guessing. It doesn't play games. It doesn't go quiet when things get real. So if he's ignoring you, don't panic. Pause, reflect, and rise. Rise into the version of yourself that doesn't need to chase, because she knows her worth commands attention. And remember this, sometimes no response is the response, and it says louder than words. I'm not available for anything less than respect. Whether he comes back or not, you've already won, because you didn't lose yourself trying to keep someone else. If this video spoke to your heart, if you felt seen, understood, or even just a little stronger than you did before, then don't keep this healing to yourself. Like this video so more women can find this message when they need it most. Comment below. Have you ever experienced this kind of silence? How did you handle it? I read every story, and you never know who your words might help. And subscribe for more psychology-backed insights on love, relationships, and emotional strength. Because here, we don't chase love. We become love, and we choose ourselves every single time.